Can you hear me in the back? Great. Okay. You know, I participate in this group very, very often, and typically I sit up here. You have no idea how different it is to be here, and you looking at me. I feel very, very honored. I'm very, very happy to be here. And I want to thank you for coming today, but I'm going to reward you because I can tell you in an hour from now, you will learn really a lot. This is a very unique presentation. I've done over 300 presentations so far, public speaking presentations, and I've done here in this room probably a dozen and a half at the very least. This is a unique presentation for me, and I'll tell you why. This is the first time that I am presenting not my own material. This is not my material, I'm just the presenter. It is also unique because, let me tell you this is my wife Monica. If she gave up yoga on a Friday morning to come here, this is a unique presentation. It was about selection and election. You know, we do elections every day, and actually I want to tie this to what I'm going to talk to you about today. It was very different than what most people expected. This is similar to when you go for an interview and everything is going terrific, and all of a sudden you are not the one selected. In fact, I work right now with somebody. He had 5 interviews at this company. He was told, you are number 1. And in the last minute, the job went to somebody else. It happens. Okay? Now, I also want to give you a little bit some general thoughts before I get into the specific here. It's all about how we make decisions. And I want to share with you something that happened also about a week or 2 weeks ago. I don't know how many of you know, but I teach right now a course at the Princeton Public Library. I noted that several people that take the course are right here. Do you mind raising your hand? Who are the people that... Okay, it's a very large class. You know why they came? And now I realize. They are afraid if they are not here, they will get a bad grade. Is that so? Exactly, right? Okay, so something interesting happened, and again, I'm tying this to how we make decisions. A part of this course was one section. One time I spoke about communication. And of course, when you speak about communication, you talk about social media, LinkedIn, of course. And my statement was that, you know, you must have a LinkedIn profile. You must have an outstanding picture. Because the human brain, first of all, looks at the picture and then looks at the content. You must have a great picture. Okay, I said what I said, and that was fine. Next time we meet, 3 people from my class said, you know, we listened to you, and we seeked out a professional photographer, and we have had a headshot picture taken. I said, can I see it? And they were willing to share it with me, and when I saw 3 people from the class, when I saw this, I said, wow, you know, I'll tell you what I said. Do you guys remember the movie When Harry Met Sally? I want what she has. Remember? This is exactly what I said. So I found out who is the professional photographer. I also invited her to be here today. Her name is Monica too. By the way, how many more Monicas are here? For me, 2 is plenty. Okay, good, I'm so glad. Anyhow, so to make a long story short, shortly thereafter, I am together with this Monica, with her equipment and the lights, and you know, within 45 minutes or so, she's taking pictures, and I have to tell you, I was apprehensive. I mean, you know, I don't do headshots every day. And then she said, okay, so let's sit down and make a selection. She took 25 pictures. How do you decide on one? Okay? And I related in my mind the same thing. How does a company, out of so many people, how do they select the one that they want to hire? So between the two of us, out of 25 pictures, we quickly eliminated 15, and it came down to like 10, and then we're still eliminating. And I said, you know, I really need to go home. I can't make this decision right now. I really need to go home and talk to my other Monica and see what she thinks. So at home, we are looking at a picture, and I had one that I liked, and I am so happy. She liked the same one, number 5. But it was such a hard decision, because all what you have left is outstanding pictures. How do you make a decision on this and not on that? I said, you know what? Let me send it to my kids. I have 2 children, and to my daughter-in-law. Let's see what they think. Okay? Within minutes, the answer came back. We wanted, Monica and I wanted number 5. My daughter-in-law said number 5. My son said number 2. My daughter said number 4. So here again we go. You know, there's no unanimous decision. Okay? And then I said, wait a second. I teach a class. I have 37 students. Let's do a class exercise. Let me send it out to the class. I sent it out to the class, and within 3 hours, 80% of the people answered. And it was very interesting how their answer came in. Happy for me, 12 people decided number 5. 10 people decided, I think, number 4, and then it was spread out. But again, the majority wanted the one that my Monica and the other Monica decided that this is what it is. You'll see the picture in a minute. So anyhow, it is all about how we make decisions. So far, so good? You still want to stay? Good. Okay, so let's talk about this again. I told you this is very, very unique presentation for me because I didn't make it. I present somebody else's presentation here. You know, when I in college at the university, like you, there are courses you like and there are courses you don't like. Marketing was always something very, very strong, close to my heart. If you ask yourself after college, which book from college you still saved? Probably some of you have some books from college. The book that I saved was marketing, interesting enough, because it was so close to my heart. So anyhow, I decided that I need to work with someone that helps with my value proposition. So I hired this individual, and I got so excited about the whole process. It's a very long process. I got so excited about this, I said, you know what? I want to make a presentation on this topic because the people that I'm working with and I help can benefit immensely from this. So this is what we're going to talk about today. The value proposition, why do people say yes? 3 people contributed to this presentation today. First of all, the source is Dr. Flynn McLaughlin. He is the CEO and Managing Director of this company, McLabs Institute. It's the world's largest research institute dedicated to discovering how people make choices. He spent 20+ years in this business. I saw his bio. I salivated. It's unbelievable. He has 8 pages of projects as well as articles he wrote. He is really the expert. The second person is Chip Hartman. He is my coach. He is the one that I hired, and I spent plenty hours with him to hammer out what you will see. I hope you recognize this guy. And this is the picture that everybody else selected, by the way. Please tell me you like it. At least makes me feel good and makes Monica feel good. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Okay, good. Okay, so let's pay attention. Now we need to be serious, and now we need to focus. As job seekers, it is important for us to understand why McLabs has invested 20+ years of research to understand this one question. Why do people say yes? Can you relate to this lady going to a supermarket, making a choice? There are so many items. Why do you say yes to this and you take it to cashier and pay? Why? There is a reason behind it. And McLab's answer to this was because of the value proposition that is in that product. I want to make sure that we are all on the same page. Let's talk about definitions. A value proposition is a strategically worded statement that communicates the benefits and solutions you can provide a would-be employer or would-be customer. It is a carefully crafted value proposition that delivers the reason why any would-be employer or the would-be customer should choose you instead of any of your competitors. It's all about motivating choice. Is this clear? Understood? Good. Okay, now, do you remember this moment? Please don't get emotional. I know it happened to some of you. You know, you have to select a partner. Which partner? In life, we constantly face situations in which we are either choosing or being chosen, right? And there is a selection process here at both ends. Which college? You know, I was so happy to see that Cornell is very prominently there displayed. But I was thinking, you know, we went for quite a while to select which university, which college. I'm sure you go through the same, or you went through the same process. I dare say perhaps you go more than once through this process when you have children. If we stretch it, perhaps you go 3 times to support your grandchildren, not selecting, but perhaps paying for it. So anyhow, which college? It's a selection process. Even which olives? You go to a supermarket and 18 types of cereals. Why do you take this one and not this one? It's a selection process in your head. And when we talk about job candidates, the hiring manager goes through a process, has lots and lots and lots of potential people, seen via their LinkedIn profile, seen via their resume. You boil it down. You remember how Monica and I eliminated pictures and we narrow it down to 6. That's exactly what they do. And then they decide 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to invite in for an interview. And by the way, all of them are good. You don't invite for an interview anyone who is not good. So here is a potential employer, and the employer says, so many choices and so little time. There is a lot of pressure. Next question, why should I hire you? How many of you were hiring managers in the past? Please raise your hand. Many, many, many. Am I right at one point this is a question, why should I hire John and not Mary, not Peter and not George, right? You have to make a selection. So I want to review with you McLab's principles. The value proposition is a carefully worded statement that answers to the following question. Why should I hire you rather than one of your competitors? This is the key question that the hiring manager is asking. At your end, I hope you are asking, what do I need to beat my competition? Because you know there is only one person that's going to be selected for this position. The essence of marketing is the message. The essence of the message is the value proposition. So let's go back for a second. The essence of the marketing is the message. The essence of the message is the value proposition. So basically, I say the marketing is your value proposition. And the medium is the message. 4 key elements of a forceful value proposition. By the way, it's okay to stop me if you have any question, but there is plenty of time at the end if you wish. Okay, so let's focus on this. This is important to understand. The first question that you need to answer, and again, we are now talking about the 4 elements of a forceful value proposition. What is it that you do? Such a simple question. Very difficult to answer. You think you have the answer, But to really boil it down to the essence of it, it's very, very difficult. Very difficult. By the way, you're welcome to take notes, but everything you see here, I receive permission, and at the end there is a URL, and I'm going to provide it to David. So everything you see here, you will see as you see it here. Okay? So, what is it that you do? To define that, trust me, it is not 2 minutes of decision. Very, very difficult to define, but you must have this. If you don't have this, you can't move forward. By the way, I admit to you, I spent with Chip at the minimum 15 hours to define my value proposition, which is now a part of the summary of my LinkedIn profile. 15 hours, at least. Next, who is your target customer or employer? If you don't know who you serve, if you don't know who you're after, you literally cannot move forward. If you're not clear where you're going to nowhere. 2 pieces of the puzzle. Step number 3. What benefits do you provide? By the way, this was probably the most difficult part of all, because basically what Chip told me to do, open your head, take out your brain, put it on a shelf, and put other people's brain in your head, because you've got to think like them, not like you. It's such a difficult thing, because how can you think with somebody else's head? But this is where the assignment was here. When we talk about value, is not what you think the value you provide, but what is what they perceive value that you can give. It is very, very challenging, very difficult. Technically, you might get the offer with just these 3 elements, but this one can put you over the top. What makes you distinctive? What makes you different? Because as I said, all the people that come in for the interview, they're good. You don't invite to interview people that you know from the get-go that they are not good. And now this is, you see the 4 pieces of the puzzle. This is what's going to be your value proposition. So your value proposition becomes your message. You remember I talked a little earlier about the message? That's what you have to deploy. So what do employers or customers value? It depends on the industry. Again, it really depends what industry you're in, but the employer can define value, perhaps saving time, saving money. That might be a value that they need. Increase sales per customer, reduce cost of goods sold, convenience, performance, low risk, improve security, and many, many more. But you need to understand what they value in you. Key point, you need to understand that. So if your value proposition addresses your target employer's needs, you have a much better chance of getting the yes. And you see here is the 4 pieces of the puzzle. That's your value proposition. But if your value proposition addresses the target employer's needs, you have a much better chance of getting the yes. Does this make sense to you, what I'm talking about here? Good. Somebody said something?
In a perfect world.
Thank you.
In a perfect world.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay, so what are employers looking for in your value proposition? Clarity. These people communicate. This person says something very, very clear to him, but this person doesn't get it, or vice versa. This person is not clear in what he's saying. This person is expecting something very clear. So one of the things the other party wants is clarity of your message. The next thing is credibility. They need to believe what you say. Credibility. You see, if you express your opinion, they may or may not believe you. But if you give facts, Fact is a fact. Appeal. Look at this. Everybody wants this. Appeal. Your message has to have appeal. And has to be exclusive, has to be different. You remember I talked a little earlier, how do you make a decision? You have 6 pictures. Why do you decide on number this and not number that? So now, mentally, here is a critical sequence they must achieve. First of all, you remember we talked about clarity? You remember this icon? The person you talk to has in his own mind to be able to say, I understand your offer. I understand what you're saying. The next one is the credibility. You remember this? Facts and not opinions. They have to say, I believe in what you say. Appeal. I want this. And exclusivity. I can't find it anywhere else. You are different than the other people. So these are the things you have to bring to the interview for the selection process. And now let's put this in context, because up to this point was theory, but let's see how this applies. Many job seekers incorrectly begin their job search with intense marketing. Guess what? Friday you lost your job. Next thing, you look up your old resume, you start marketing it, you go to networking meetings, you advertise it because you want an offer, right? That's a normal human being process of finding a job. But smart marketing depends on strong branding, so now they must go backwards for brand building. You don't have a brand. So what you need to do, first of all, you need to go start with your branding and then start the marketing and then start the advertising. Hopefully, it will lead you to an offer. But guess what? Brands, including personal brands, are evolved from a forceful value proposition. So in fact, before you go and you do the branding, you need to develop your value proposition. So now what you have, the only sensible way to conduct a job search is to begin with an employer-focused message. You start with your value proposition, then you do the branding, then you do the marketing, then you do the advertising. Hopefully, this will lead to an offer. You see, your message or your value proposition, your message properly constructed delivers consistency because everything is tied together. I want to give you some examples here. And this is about a company called A1. It's a fictitious company, and I want you to see how what I talked about, how does that match? You remember these 4 colors? What is what you do? Who are your customers? What benefits do you offer? What makes you distinctive? You remember that? So now, let's see. A1 Industry makes paint additives for both businesses and homeowners that reduce environmental impact by 40%. A1 is the only brand which EHS certified compliance. So let's see if this meets the criteria. First, A1 Industry makes paint additives. You see, this is basically this. What do they do? The lines are not properly aligned, but basically the second line for business, for businesses and homeowners. That's this. Who are their customers? The benefits that reduce environmental impact by 40%. And A1 is the only brand which EHS certified compliance. So you see, this value proposition meets the criteria. I want to bring something that's closer to your heart. How about the candidate? Okay, of course, if you meet this, you get the yes. And you see here are the four pieces of the puzzle. Okay, so let's talk about the job seeker. Let's see how this meets that criteria. I lead marketing and sales and business development teams in revenue assurance, regulatory matters, and process improvement for top-tier telecom companies in North America, providing them with revenue growth, revenue assurance, and cost reduction by streamlining inefficient processes. Unlike my competitors, I implement revenue assurance initiatives and serve as an expert witness at federal and state regulatory hearings. Let's see if this meets the criteria. Look, what is it what I do? I lead marketing, sales, and business development teams in revenue assurance, regulatory matters, and process improvement. This is what this individual does. For top-tier telecom companies in North America, that's this. Who are the customers? Providing them with revenue growth, revenue assurance, and cost reduction by streamlining inefficient processes. These are the benefits. Unlike my competitors, I implement revenue assurance initiatives and serve as an expert witness at federal and state regulatory hearings. So you see how the value proposition here meets the criteria. This is why people get the yes. Okay, so we talked about theory. Now the question is what we do with this? Okay, you've got it, but you got it built. What now? Deployment. It's not enough that you have it, you need to deliver. First of all, online. Your LinkedIn profile has to come from this. Your website, all your social media, they have to have the same pictures, the same words, and so forth. Everything has to be very, very consistently deployed. In print, your resume has to be aligned with this. Your bio, your entire marketing material, if you have a business card, everything has to be aligned with this concept. Spoken, when you go for, when you have an elevator pitch, the elevator pitch has to be constructed from your value proposition. You go for an interview. If you prepare well, this is what you tell them. It's very clear. This is what you tell them. When you network, again, stay on topic. Your value proposition helps you to deliver consistent message across the channels. Everything that you say, everything that you do is aligned with what you worked on. In closing, a few attributions here. Again, this is Dr. Flint McLaughlin. He is a director of this. Here is his website, and if you want to research him, feel free to do that. Some of my material came from Toronto, Canada. This guy, Joe Wilson, from Canada, he contributed also some concepts into this presentation. I love this slide here. I love this slide because you know what? You look like a slab of ice. It takes somebody, chip, you see how I play on words, chip? It takes somebody to chip away the extra so that you reveal the end product. You see, this dog supposedly was somewhere here. But you look initially like a slab, a block of ice. And then it takes an expert.
That's cold, Alex.
Cold? Okay. Are you cold now? No. No, but seriously. By the way, do you like this? I love this. I love this. How many of you love dogs? Okay. Okay. So, but you understand the concept, what I'm talking about. You see, initially, it's there. Every person has a value proposition inside. But you need to polish it, you need to carve it, you need to take the extra away until you find this beautiful product at the end. Okay, question and answers. You can ask me any questions. Again, I'm giving you here, and you'll get what you can download this. I'll show you where it is. And this is where you can download this, but I'm going to provide it to David. If you have any questions that I cannot answer, Chip. By the way, he is dying to be here today. He has some mobility issues. He just couldn't be here today. That's the reason I wanted to record it on his behalf. Okay, ask me questions.
Now, you said